Good evening. Welcome to New York Metro Weather's forecast discussion. It's March 23rd, 2014. We have a lot going on. I'm sure everyone has heard about the incoming coastal storm, which is forecast to develop on Tuesday into Wednesday. Actually, it's developing earlier than that. So we're just kind of going to break it down and try to give you guys an update on the forecast. And really, the main point of this video is to go over why the storm system is shifting to the east of where it was initially forecast to go, or where some of the hype had the storm coming. We're not going to get into that, but let's talk about the pieces that are setting up the storm system, and we'll look at them here on this image. This is North America, and this is 500 millibar vorticity. So the main feature, and we've talked about this for a couple of days, here's a big upper level low in the eastern Pacific. This is driving a ridge up along the west coast. You can see it here. So that's kind of changing the pattern briefly. We haven't had a lot of ridges on the west coast this entire winter. So this is a big thing. And with the polar vortex up here, near Greenland, and then lobes of the polar vortex extending down to the southeast Canada, having a ridge in this area is a big change for the pattern, and it makes a very amplified pattern over central and eastern United States. So we're seeing this upper level low and the ridge here over the western United States, and that's all fine and good. But the problem begins when you have pieces of energy like here, 1, 2, and 3, that are then going to come down on the eastern periphery of this ridge. And they're going to slide to the south and east and then amplify off the east coast, and that's where our problem is for the big storm system coming up. And you can see that over time. Here's the first image for comparison. This is Sunday night, and here is Tuesday morning. And now we have something going on here. Obviously, this is the storm system that's expected to develop. Here's the energy coming in out of the, this is polar energy. Here's the eastern Pacific ridge and the west coast, the eastern Pacific upper level low and the ridge on the west coast. And this energy is coming down the eastern periphery of this ridge and moving into the central and eastern United States. Now, if you're a snow lover and you are at least somewhat well versed in meteorology, you will know that looking at this image, this is not ideal for a big snowstorm on the east coast. And the main reason is the ridge axis, although it is well positioned, is not amplified enough, and the eastern periphery of it, the jet streaks are heading from northwest to southeast. So when you have energy that's coming down over the top of a ridge here in the central plains, you want that energy to come down more on a southerly, not due south, but on a more southerly direction so that it can slide down into the Mississippi River Valley and amplify then up the coast. In this case, we have a lead disturbance here that's going to slide to the south and east, and then a second disturbance which is going to come in phase with it. But this is all occurring on a southeast trajectory and too fast. The other problem is if you look at the height field here, very, very west to east or even southwest to northeast. So this disturbance is going to slide out here to near the Outer Banks while the second disturbance comes in phases with it. We'll zoom in a little bit at that, or same frame or something a little bit ahead of it. And you can see that lead energy now is over the Tennessee Valley. And we have multiple pieces of energy behind it that are coming into phase with it on the eastern periphery of this ridge axis over the western United States. But important to note, again, it's amplified, yes. There's a trough over the east coast, yes. But as far as getting a low pressure system to develop very close to the coast, close enough to bring us a lot of snow, this is all occurring too far east. And the pattern is just a little bit too progressive. And you can see here the model picking up whenever you have big areas of positive and negative vorticity next to each other. This is the baroclinic zone here. So the model is picking up on convection and development of the low pressure system, which is occurring well out ahead here of the phasing trough. The other problem, obviously, we just spoke about it, is a jet stream. Here's the upper level jet. And you can see near the east coast, not an ideal look with the incoming jet streak over the eastern side of the ridge. The jet streak near the southeast United States pointed out to sea. And that's always an issue when you want to get a storm to come up the coast, or at the very least, develop and strengthen here near the Outer Banks. We look at the NAM model here. We're mainly looking at this panel. Sorry, it's cut off a little bit, but we're looking at the 500 millibar just to look at a little bit of a model comparison. The model consensus developing here is strong, and really, like to be completely honest, over the last couple of days, the models have been very consistent with the storm tracking just barely off the coast enough to spare our area the major impacts. But the main point here is we have a lead vorticity area. Sorry, I like to try to explain what I'm talking about, but sometimes it's hard to just get into the simplified terminology. But a lead disturbance here over the Mississippi River Valley that's sliding to the east, and we have the second disturbance coming into phase with it, but it's occurring on too much of a progressive trajectory, and with that jet streak that we just mentioned, all of that's going to occur too far east. Now, This is not to say that there's not going to be a major storm, because let me tell you, there will be a major storm system, and it's going to develop mainly north of our area, north and east. So here's a GFS to develop the resulting low pressure system, which develops just off to the east of the coastal sections. And you can see, based on the 500 millibar setup, this makes a lot of sense. So this is not the forecast model struggling. This is not the forecast models having an error. This makes a lot of sense as to where the low pressure system should be placed based on the tilt, amplitude, and axis of this trough. So here's where the low pressure system more than likely will be Tuesday night into Wednesday. We have to watch out for the potential of what is called an inverted trough, where lower pressures extend to the northwest of the trough. And you could get lift along this area and enough for precipitation, so the potential for some light snow extending away from the low pressure system, but those are very hard to pinpoint with any accuracy at this range. So we're going to have to watch that as we approach the event. Here's what happens as far as the upper levels are concerned by Wednesday or early Wednesday morning, late Tuesday night, and you can see the phase is occurring. But if you're hoping for a big storm here along the coast, you want the phase at this, in this part of the East Coast, you want this phase to be occurring already, and you want the low pressure system to be more wrapped up. And that doesn't occur until the storm is farther northeast of the area. And as you can see, the GFS is very adamant in that fact. Here we have the phase has occurred, the system is closed off, and now you have a mature cyclone. It's just that the system is already in the Gulf of Maine nearing Nova Scotia. And you can see the surface pressures respond. This is an extremely strong storm system. And the models are in good agreement that it's going to get down into the 960s millibars or something around that, which is unbelievable for this time of year in this area. And we look again, here's the NAM, 500 millibars, in good agreement with the GFS. You can see how strong the system really is here at 700 millibars as well. Multiple closed contours. This is a beast. But hopefully this video helped to explain why our confidence is increasing that although a very strong storm system is going to develop, the brunt of the impacts, especially in terms of precipitation, are going to miss our forecast area. That's not to say that there's still some potential for winter precipitation, especially on eastern Long Island, parts of southeast New England, and especially along the coast where we still could see some increased swells and some high winds. But for the most part, the brunt of the system looks to stay off to our north and east as it develops into a major coastal storm. I want to thank you all for watching. And stay tuned for the website for any updates as we continue to monitor the storm over the next couple days. Have a good night, guys.